of how to make it better. Even the very thing you hear now, which is channeling. Demystifying what some have called spooky, unnatural, weird, just because it isn't linear. We'll stand by for lots of things that aren't linear. And the one that is the greatest of all is love. I can't explain it, can you? Emulate it. And so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Traditionally, in a meeting like this, the message in the channeling would be briefer than a full channeling and a teaching like yesterday. And that will be true today. We call it part 2 of soul communication. It is the shorter part, but a profound part. Yesterday was filled with instructions of how Spirit would communicate with you beyond Spirit. The other things on the planet which are non-linear, perhaps multi-dimensional and conceptual, which would communicate to you. We turned it around and talked to you instructionally about that which is you communicating to the others. And even mentioning perhaps who the others are. It's bigger than you think. There'll come a day when there will be acknowledgement that the planet is literally filled with life force that is invisible. And some of it is conscious. There would be a recategorization of things like the grid, and what it is to communicate with the crystalline or the magnetic, or that which is Gaia itself. Because you communicate in a way that perhaps is not linear. You don't get messages. But it's still communication. And so all of that was yesterday, and there was a great deal to talk about. Today is more personal. You've come here today, a smaller group of you, more intense it is, to talk about how you can improve yourself, but it becomes something more. Really, you're talking about communication. Soul communication can also be and is you with you. Is it not true, dear ones, that the entire purpose of today's lesson was how to get in touch with the nonlinear parts of you? That is soul communication. Is it possible, can you even conceive it, that you are split into many parts? And part of balancing and becoming that which is the attribute of the Masters is getting in touch with the parts of you which are sacred. That's soul communication. And so everything we say from this point on applies to that as well. My partner today described what it might be like to build that bridge to your body intelligence, the innate in your cellular structure, which is nonlinear. That's part of the puzzle. It's not necessarily you talking to the higher self or you talking to God. If God is inside you, represented by these nonlinear aspects which we call innate and higher self, indeed, this is soul communication. The puzzle is grander than you think. There's beauty in all of this. That's what I want to talk about. There's beauty. The system is benevolent and is ready to work. Did you hear that? It's ready to work. Let me take you back a bit. How many lifetimes have you slogged through with old energy? Slogged through. You pick yourself up and it knocks you back. You just get started and it kills you. You come back again and you're enlisted in a war and it kills you. You come back and you awaken. You become even shamanic and it kills you. How many lifetimes has it been where all you can do is hold your own? And survival is a word that means something else to the old soul. Survival in an old energy with high consciousness. This is ending. All of it. And the planet is not going to suddenly become higher in consciousness, dear ones. Instead, the systems around you, which know who you are going to start working closer with what you know. It becomes easier to survive. It becomes easier to believe what you believe. And to start to make a difference, it's going to be easier to balance. We've used the word over and over. Many times, those in esoteric belief systems go into certain categories because it's survival. It's easy for you to be a hermit. Speaking even to my partner. If you don't have to show your light, it's easier. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? For when you open the door and the light spills out and everybody looks at you. What's wrong with this picture? Because in the past, it's meant your demise. So in this energy that is starting to develop on the planet, we've got some news. And the first thing we would love to give you are what we will call the rules of the Creator. We have rules. Now, we don't call them rules. It even gets more specific. We'll call them laws. They are not violatable, nor would we want to. Spirit is not like a human. There is not a consciousness that is linear, that has rules or laws. It's the best way we can tell you how things work. The laws of physics are absolutes, and they have to do with the operation or the process that you see in reality that matter then approves of. The laws of physics are not conscious laws being obeyed by a consciousness. They're the laws of physics. We have laws of spirituality when it comes to human beings. And let me tell you what they are. First of all, they are honoring, and they are beautiful, and they are benevolent. Would you expect anything else from the creative source? Would you? Here they are. We stand apart from you. We stand apart from you. Unless you ask us in. And I want to tell you that none of us like the laws. Because the majority of humanity in survival mode and an old energy, the majority, don't let us in. Can you imagine your children suddenly becoming different and not recognizing you? Can you imagine them wandering around running into walls because they can't see? And you've got the only flashlight. And you love them. And they never call out for you because they don't know your name. They don't remember who you are. You birthed them. Or you care about them. Can you imagine that? That's our law. And when you open your hand and your heart, old soul, you have a lineage of Akashic remembrance. And when you begin to open the door that asks, is there more? You allow us in. That's the law. No, it's not just us. And this is where it gets good. It has to do with what you have called the sensitivity of energy with a human being. You walk into a battlefield where the crystalline grid has remembered what happened. Now, this is changing, and we've told you. But you walk into that battlefield and you feel it. And there'll be somebody with you who goes, what's wrong with you? And you'll go, don't you feel the energy? And they'll go, what's that? And you'll say, something happened here. Don't you feel it? And they'll say, no, I don't. And they'll look at you like perhaps you're pretending. Or you want attention. Or you're oversensitive. And you know better, because you feel it. What is the difference between you and them? And the answer is this. You're letting it in, and they're blocking it. We're going to talk about blocks in a moment. Some of you will walk into the forest and will feel it talk to you. It'll surround you with its love, with its beauty. The trees are pushing out oxygen as a benevolent system of photosynthesis. Wasn't always there. Can you imagine a planet without it? You wouldn't live long. What a system. The plants give you oxygen, and you give them carbon dioxide. What a system. You look around, and science will say, well, it happened by accident. What a system. An accidental cooperation of nature and humanity. They know who you are. You walk into the forest and you feel it hug you. And somebody's next to you with a chainsaw. They don't care. They don't feel it. It's a resource. What's the difference between these two human beings? There's no judgment here. I'm just asking you, what do you think the difference is? You're letting it in. When you make the decision that it's okay to feel it, it'll be there. Most don't. They block it. The law, it will come to you with allowance. The moment you open the door of allowance, lets you begin to feel it. Those are the rules. It's not just us. There are a number of what we would call benevolent energies on this planet, represented by groups with names that you have given them, that cannot get through to you unless you allow it. That's their rule as well. It's the same as ours. And you're not going to hear from the Pleiadians or the Arcturians or the Sirians or the Hathors or those from Orion unless you open to that possibility there could be more. Benevolent groups which represent your DNA essence, who know who you are and are here to help in so many different ways. The amount of help you have on this planet is staggering. And the majority of humanity will not allow it. Now that's where the old soul comes in. You're already tuned up. If you're hearing my voice, you're allowing it. Well, let me tell you what's going on, dear ones. There are various degrees of allowance. But all you have to do is open the door, and it begins. The energy of 2014 and beyond is going to start creating new paradigms on the planet, both for discovery, for awakening, for realization, for aha experiences, and they will not all be spiritual. Science will discover many things that will ask questions and open doors, and they won't be spiritual. But you know, they all lead in one direction. The discovery of new physics, of consciousness that has been hiding, premises that change the rules.